The night was unusually calm in the small town of Ridgewood, Colorado. The sky stretched endlessly above, painted with millions of stars that twinkled like diamonds scattered across velvet. It was a peaceful evening, one where people went about their lives without expecting anything extraordinary to happen. But as fate would have it, this night was destined to change everything, not just for Ridgewood but for the entire planet. Sarah Bennett sat on the wooden steps of her porch, sipping tea from a chipped mug. She wasn't someone who often looked up at the stars. Life had been too busy, too hard for such luxuries. At 32 years old, Sarah felt like she'd already lived several lifetimes. Her marriage had crumbled under the weight of abuse and neglect, leaving her emotionally scarred. Her mother-in-law, a woman whose sharp tongue could cut deeper than any knife, had made sure Sarah knew exactly how unworthy she was. Broken and worn down, Sarah had finally managed to escape that toxic household 2 years ago. Yet, even now, the scars lingered. That night, though, something pulled at her, a strange sensation she couldn't quite explain. As she stared into the vast expanse above, it felt as if the universe itself was calling out to her. She shook her head, dismissing the thought as nonsense. Probably just tired, she muttered to herself, taking another sip of tea. But then, it happened. A low rumble echoed through the air, so faint at first that Sarah wasn't sure if she'd imagined it. Then came a flash, a brilliant streak of light slicing through the darkness. Before anyone could react, the sky seemed to split apart. A massive crack appeared, glowing with an eerie, pulsating energy. People froze in their tracks, staring upward, in stunned silence. Dogs barked wildly, car alarms blared, and children cried as panic began to ripple through the town. From within the rift emerged shapes, huge, ominous silhouettes that blocked out the stars. They were ships, but not like anything humanity had ever seen before. Towering structures loomed overhead, each one larger than a city block. Their surfaces shimmered with metallic hues, reflecting the fractured light of the cosmos. Some resembled sleek predatory birds, while others took on forms too alien to comprehend. These weren't Earth's creations. They belonged to someone or something else. Word spread quickly. Phones buzzed incessantly as videos flooded social media platforms. News helicopters scrambled to capture footage, their spotlights casting long shadows over terrified crowds. Scientists speculated furiously, trying to make sense of what they were seeing. Military forces around the globe went on high alert, unsure whether this was an act of aggression or something entirely different. Yet, amidst all the chaos, there was something odd about the situation. The ships didn't move. Not immediately, anyway. Instead, they hovered silently, their presence both awe-inspiring and terrifying. If they intended to attack, why hadn't they done so already? Why were they simply waiting? In Ridgewood, Sarah stood up, her mug slipping from her hand and shattering on the ground. She barely noticed. All she could do was stare at the spectacle unfolding above her. Neighbors poured out of their homes, gathering in driveways and streets, whispering nervously among themselves. "What is that?" asked Mrs. Henderson, an elderly woman who lived next door. Her voice trembled with fear. "I don't know," replied Sarah, her eyes glued to the sky. As the minutes ticked by, the tension grew unbearable. And then, something unexpected occurred. The alien fleet, the invaders, as everyone assumed them to be, started acting strangely. Lights flickered across the surface of the ships, moving erratically, almost frantically. Observers reported hearing bursts of static-like sounds, which some interpreted as attempts at communication. Others swore they saw flashes resembling distress signals. "They're scared," whispered Tommy, a teenage boy standing nearby. His words hung in the air, unchallenged. Scared? Sarah thought. Of what? It didn't take long for answers, or at least theories, to emerge. Astronomers pointed out that the rift in the sky wasn't just a tear in the atmosphere. It seemed to connect to another dimension altogether. Beyond the shimmering edges of the fissure, observers claimed to see glimpses of otherworldly landscapes, forests of crystalline trees, oceans of liquid gold, and skies filled with multiple suns. But the most shocking revelation came when someone noticed movement beyond the rift. Objects far larger and more advanced than the alien ships were emerging. These new arrivals radiated power, their designs unlike anything imagined in science fiction. They glided gracefully, exuding an aura of authority that commanded attention. The aliens reacted immediately. Their once steady formations began to break apart, scattering chaotically. It was clear they weren't prepared for whatever, or whoever, had arrived. Sarah watched it all unfold with a mixture of dread and fascination. Her earlier feeling of connection to the cosmos returned stronger than ever. She couldn't explain it, but deep down she knew this moment meant something profound. Not just for humanity, but for her personally. "Do you think we're doomed?" asked Mrs. Henderson, clutching her sweater tightly. Sarah hesitated before answering. "I don't know," she admitted. "But I think maybe we're not alone anymore." Her words sent a shiver through the group. For better or worse, Earth's place in the universe had changed forever. Whatever secrets lay hidden beyond the parted skies, one thing was certain: nothing would ever be the same again. And as Sarah continued to gaze upward, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched, not by the aliens, nor by the mysterious newcomers, but by something far greater, something ancient, something waiting for its moment to step forward. The days following the sky's mysterious parting were unlike anything humanity had ever experienced. The world was gripped by a mix of fear, wonder, and confusion. Governments scrambled to make sense of the situation. Scientists worked tirelessly to analyze data, and ordinary people tried their best to carry on with their lives, though few succeeded. Social media buzzed with theories ranging from divine intervention to alien invasions, while conspiracy theorists claimed the event was proof of secret government experiments gone wrong. Yet no one could deny that something monumental had occurred, and it wasn't just about the massive ships hovering above Earth. In Ridgewood, Sarah found herself unable to focus on anything else. The images burned into her mind during that fateful night refused to fade. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw flashes of strange symbols glowing in the darkness, heard whispers speaking in languages she didn't understand, and felt an overwhelming pull toward the stars. It was as if her very soul recognized something beyond human comprehension, a truth waiting to be uncovered. At first, Sarah thought she might be losing her grip on reality. After all, life hadn't exactly been kind to her lately. Escaping her abusive marriage and dealing with years of emotional manipulation had left her fragile. Could these visions simply be stress manifesting itself? She wanted to believe so, but deep down she knew there was more to it. Her suspicions grew stronger when she turned to the internet for answers. What she discovered shocked her. Across forums and social media platforms, others reported similar experiences. Some described vivid dreams of celestial battles fought among the stars, while others spoke of sudden bursts of knowledge or inexplicable feelings of connection to the cosmos. Many of these accounts mirrored Sarah's own experiences, down to the smallest detail. One particular post caught her attention. A user named Starseeker1984 wrote about ancient texts and prophecies describing events eerily similar to what had transpired. According to the post, civilizations long before humanity had spoken of a celestial armada, a powerful force tasked with protecting Earth during times of existential threat. These writings suggested that certain individuals, chosen through bloodlines and destiny, would awaken to defend the planet when needed most. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. Was it possible? Could she really be connected to something so vast and ancient? The idea seemed absurd, yet it resonated with her on a level she couldn't ignore. Determined to learn more, she dove deeper into research, spending hours poring over obscure books, articles, and videos. Her efforts eventually led her to Dr. Elena Carter, a renowned linguist specializing in deciphering unknown languages. Dr. Carter had spent decades studying artifacts linked to forgotten civilizations, searching for clues about humanity's origins. When Sarah reached out via email, explaining her experiences and sharing the information she'd gathered. Dr. Carter responded almost immediately. "Your account aligns closely with patterns I've observed in my work." Dr. Carter wrote back, "If you're willing, I'd like to meet with you. There are things we need to discuss." Intrigued and slightly apprehensive, Sarah agreed. A few days later, she drove to Boulder, where Dr. Carter lived and worked. The linguist greeted her warmly, inviting her into a cozy study filled with shelves of books, maps, and artifacts. "I've been expecting someone like you," Dr. Carter said after offering Sarah a cup of tea. "People who experience these phenomena often play crucial roles in events of cosmic significance." Sarah frowned. "What do you mean?" Dr. Carter leaned forward, her expression serious. "There are forces at play here far older than any of us can imagine. Ancient civilizations believed Earth is protected by guardians, beings capable of wielding immense power. These guardians are not always physical entities. Sometimes they exist within humans, lying dormant until awakened by necessity." She paused, letting the words sink in before continuing. "Based on your description of the visions and sensations you've experienced, I suspect you may be one such individual. You carry latent abilities tied to Earth's defense mechanisms. Awakening them will require guidance but also courage." Sarah stared at her, stunned. "You think I'm some kind of superhero?" Dr. Carter chuckled softly. "Not quite. Think of it as unlocking potential already within you. But yes, your role in this unfolding drama is significant. And given the current state of affairs, I believe your awakening has already begun." Over the next few hours, Dr. Carter shared findings from her research. She showed Sarah fragments of ancient manuscripts written in languages no longer spoken, depicting celestial beings battling dark forces. She explained how certain families throughout history had been entrusted with safeguarding Earth's secrets, passing down knowledge through generations. Most importantly, she revealed evidence suggesting Sarah's ancestors were part of this lineage. "This isn't just coincidence," Dr. Carter concluded. "Everything points to you being central to whatever happens next." As Sarah absorbed the information, her mind raced with questions. How could she possibly handle such responsibility? What did it mean for her future and for humanity's survival? Despite her doubts, one thing became clear. She couldn't turn away. Something inside her yearned to embrace this destiny, no matter how daunting it seemed. Before leaving, Dr. Carter handed Sarah a small, intricately carved pendant. "This belonged to someone like you," she explained. "It may help guide you as you navigate what lies ahead." That night, as Sarah lay in bed clutching the pendant, sleep eluded her. Her thoughts swirled with possibilities and fears. Outside, the alien ship still loomed ominously in the sky, their presence a constant reminder of the stakes involved. Then, as if summoned by her turmoil, a visitor arrived. A knock on her door startled her awake. Peering through the peephole, she saw a man dressed in a nondescript suit, his face obscured by shadows. Cautiously, she opened the door. "Sarah Bennett?" he asked, his voice calm but firm. "Yes? My name is Agent Marcus Kane. We need to talk." He flashed a badge briefly before stepping inside without waiting for permission. His demeanor exuded authority, but there was also a hint of urgency in his movements. "I represent a group dedicated to safeguarding humanity's secrets," he began, cutting straight to the point. "We've been monitoring recent developments closely, including your involvement." Sarah crossed her arms defensively. "My involvement? I haven't done anything." Kane raised an eyebrow. "Not yet, but you will. Your connection to the celestial events isn't random. It's deliberate. You hold critical knowledge embedded in your subconscious, knowledge we need to access if we hope to protect Earth." Though skeptical, Sarah listened intently as Kane outlined his proposal. He offered to take her to a secure facility equipped with advanced technology designed to unlock hidden potential. In exchange, he promised answers, not only about her visions, but also about the true nature of the alien fleet and the rift in the sky. After much deliberation, Sarah agreed. She realized she had little choice. Whatever awaited her, she couldn't face it alone, and perhaps, she thought, This was the beginning of reclaiming control over her life. The journey to the facility took place under cover of darkness, with Kane driving silently as Sarah stared out the window. The road ahead was uncertain, fraught with danger and mystery. Yet, for the first time in years, Sarah felt a spark of hope ignite within her. Whatever truths awaited her, she vowed to confront them head-on, for herself, for humanity, and for the future of the planet she called home. The facility was unlike anything Sarah had ever seen. Nestled deep within the mountains, it looked like a cross between a high-tech laboratory and a fortress from a sci-fi movie. The entrance was guarded by armed personnel, their faces stern and unreadable. Inside, the air hummed with energy, and the walls were lined with monitors displaying streams of data, images of the alien ships, and live feeds of the rift in the sky. It felt surreal, like stepping into another world entirely. Agent Marcus Kane led Sarah through a maze of corridors until they reached a room filled with advanced equipment. Scientists bustled around, adjusting settings on machines that emitted soft beeping sounds and pulsating lights. At the center of the room stood a chair surrounded by sensors and wires. Kane gestured toward it. "This is where we'll begin," he said matter-of-factly. "We've designed these experiments to help unlock whatever potential lies dormant within you." Sarah hesitated, her heart pounding. She glanced at Kane, then at the scientists who were now watching her intently. Doubts crept into her mind. What if this was all a mistake? What if she wasn't special after all? But then she remembered the visions, the symbols, the whispers, the pull toward the cosmos, and realized there was no turning back. Whatever truths awaited her, she needed to face them. Taking a deep breath, she sat down in the chair. The scientist quickly attached electrodes to her temples and wrists, explaining that the devices would monitor her brain activity and vital signs. One of them handed her a pair of goggles connected to a screen displaying abstract patterns. "Focus on the shapes," instructed a scientist named Dr. Patel, whose calm voice helped ease some of Sarah's nerves. "Let your mind wander. Don't resist what comes to you." At first, nothing happened. The patterns flickered across the screen, hypnotic yet meaningless. Then, slowly, something shifted. Sarah felt a warmth spreading through her body, starting at her chest and radiating outward. Her vision blurred, and the room seemed to fade away. In its place, she saw flashes of light, golden threads weaving together to form intricate designs. They pulsed with life, as though alive, calling out to her. Suddenly, memories flooded her mind, not her own, but those of others. She saw ancient beings standing beneath twin suns, their eyes glowing with power. She witnessed battles fought among the stars, weapons firing beams of pure energy, and she heard voices, speaking in languages both foreign and familiar, urging her to awaken. The intensity grew overwhelming. Sarah gasped, clutching the arms of the chair as waves of energy coursed through her. The scientists exchanged nervous glances, but Kane remained calm, his gaze fixed on her. "It's working," Dr. Patel murmured, typing furiously on a keyboard. Over the next several days, Sarah underwent rigorous trials designed to push her limits. Each session revealed new aspects of her abilities. During one experiment involving sound frequencies mimicking the vibrations of the rift, Sarah discovered she could manipulate objects with her mind. A glass of water trembled before rising into the air, hovering for a moment before gently returning to the table. Another trial involved sensory deprivation. Placed inside a dark, soundproof chamber, Sarah focused inward, allowing her consciousness to expand. She sensed things beyond her physical surroundings, the rhythm of distant stars, the pulse of Earth's core, even the faint presence of the alien fleet. It was as though she had tapped into a universal network, connecting her to everything around her. But not every session went smoothly. On the fourth day, an attempt to amplify her mental focus resulted in unintended consequences. As Sarah concentrated on moving a small metal ball across the room, frustration bubbled up when it refused to budge. Suddenly, a sharp crack echoed through the lab, and a nearby window shattered. Glass shards scattered across the floor and alarms blared loudly. For a moment, panic gripped everyone, but then Sarah felt it. A surge of exhilaration coursed through her veins. For the first time in years, she didn't feel powerless. Instead, she felt alive, invigorated by the realization that she truly possessed extraordinary abilities. Kane approached her cautiously, his expression unreadable. "You're progressing faster than anyone anticipated," he said. "But control will take practice. Harnessing this kind of power isn't easy." Sarah nodded, determination burning in her eyes. "I can do this," she replied firmly. "I have to." Outside the facility, the world continued to spiral into chaos. The alien fleet remained frozen in orbit, their behavior growing increasingly erratic. Governments struggled to maintain order as fear spread among the population. Riots erupted in major cities, fueled by misinformation and paranoia. Conspiracy theories flourished, with some groups claiming the aliens were demons sent to destroy humanity, while others argued they were saviors come to rescue Earth from itself. Amidst the turmoil, Sarah couldn't help but feel guilty. Here, she was hidden away in a secret lab, unlocking powers she barely understood while billions of people suffered outside. Yet she also knew that rushing into action without preparation could make things worse. She needed to master her abilities before stepping into the spotlight. One evening, after a particularly grueling session, Kane invited Sarah to join him in a private meeting room. There, he showed her footage captured by satellites monitoring the alien fleet. The images revealed frantic activity aboard the ships, with crew members rushing about as though preparing for battle. More alarming, however, were glimpses of the mysterious objects emerging from the rift. Objects far older and more advanced than the Star Destroyers themselves. "These are the true players in this drama," Kane explained. "They're not just observing, they're influencing events. And based on our analysis, they're protecting Earth." Sarah frowned. "Protecting us from what?" Kane hesitated before answering. "From the aliens, and possibly from ourselves. The rift appears to be a gateway connecting dimensions, and reopening it has drawn unwanted attention. If we don't stabilize it soon, the consequences could be catastrophic." Sarah absorbed the information silently. The weight of responsibility pressed heavily on her shoulders, but she refused to let doubt consume her. "What do I need to do?" she asked finally. Kane leaned forward, his tone serious. "You're the key to bridging the gap between worlds. Your connection to the Celestial Armada makes you uniquely qualified to communicate with both sides. But doing so will require courage and sacrifice." Though daunting, the challenge ignited a fire within Sarah. For years, she had allowed others to dictate her worth, letting abuse and manipulation define her existence. Now she had the chance to rewrite her story, to become someone stronger, braver, and more capable than she ever imagined. As she returned to her quarters that night, Sarah stared at the pendant Dr. Carter had given her. Its intricate carvings seemed to glow faintly in the dim light, as if responding to her newfound resolve. Closing her fingers around it, she whispered a silent vow. "I won't fail," she promised herself, and the universe. Little did she know, her journey was only beginning. The path ahead would test her limits, challenge her beliefs, and force her to confront truths about herself and the cosmos. But one thing was certain. Sarah Bennett was no longer the broken woman she once was. She was awakening, not just to her powers, but to her destiny. And when the time came, she would rise to meet it. Sarah's transformation had been nothing short of extraordinary. From a woman who once doubted her worth, she had grown into someone capable of bending reality itself. Her newfound abilities were both exhilarating and terrifying, a constant reminder of the responsibility resting on her shoulders. Yet, as powerful as she felt, Sarah knew she couldn't face the alien fleet alone. The rift in the sky loomed larger with each passing day, its edges shimmering like molten gold. If it remained open, Earth would be vulnerable to forces beyond comprehension. Agent Marcus Kane and his team worked tirelessly to prepare for what came next. They believed that communication was key. Establishing contact with the aliens might pave the way toward understanding their intentions and finding a solution. But how do you talk to beings whose language and technology are entirely alien? That was where Sarah came in. Using insights gained from her visions and experiments, Kane's linguists pieced together fragments of a universal code, a symbolic language embedded in the very fabric of the cosmos. It wasn't just words. It was a system of energy patterns, resonances, and frequencies that transcended traditional barriers. Together, they crafted a message encoded with symbols derived from Sarah's experiences. The message carried a simple plea. We mean no harm. Let us work together. The plan was risky. Broadcasting such a signal could provoke an attack, or worse, draw the attention of whatever ancient force lingered beyond the rift. But staying silent wasn't an option either. Humanity's survival depended on taking action. On the chosen night, Sarah stood at the heart of the facility, surrounded by scientists and technicians. A massive satellite dish pointed skyward, ready to transmit the message. Sarah held her breath as Dr. Patel initiated the sequence. Beams of light shot upward, carrying the encoded signal into space. For several tense minutes, there was only silence. Then something incredible happened. A response came, not in words but in waves of energy that pulsed through the air. Screens lit up with streams of data, and holographic projections materialized in the room. The images showed scenes from another world, sprawling cities floating amidst stars, creatures with crystalline skin, and landscapes bathed in perpetual twilight. "They're answering," whispered one of the scientists, awe evident in his voice. As the transmission continued, the meaning became clear. The aliens weren't invaders. They were refugees. Their civilization had been ravaged by war, forcing them to flee across galaxies in search of safety. When they stumbled upon Earth, they expected to find an uninhabited planet suitable for resettlement. Instead, they encountered the Celestial Armada, a force they thought existed only in myths. The revelation stunned everyone. The rift wasn't merely a gateway connecting dimensions. It was a portal guarded by entities loyal to Earth. These protectors had awakened in response to the aliens' arrival, creating a standoff that left both sides paralyzed, though relieved. To learn the aliens posed no immediate threat, Sarah recognized the gravity of the situation. Stabilizing the rift required cooperation and trust. With Kane's support, she proposed a daring plan: board one of the Star Destroyers to negotiate directly with the alien commander. The idea terrified her. Walking onto an alien ship meant stepping into the unknown, risking capture, or worse. But Sarah understood that diplomacy often demanded sacrifice. "If we don't try," she told Kane firmly, "we'll never know if peace is possible." Kane reluctantly agreed. After hours of preparation, Sarah boarded a small spacecraft piloted by two members of Kane's team. As they approached the Time, largest Star Destroyer, its surface gleamed menacingly under the glow of Earth's moon. The ship dwarfed their craft, making it feel like an insect buzzing near a mountain. When they landed inside a docking bay, Sarah stepped out cautiously. The air smelled metallic and the walls hummed with low vibrations. Alien soldiers, tall, armored figures with elongated limbs, stood guard, their weapons trained on her. Despite her fear, Sarah kept her composure, raising her hands slowly, to show she meant no harm. Moments later, a towering figure emerged from the shadows. This was Zyrax, the alien commander. His presence commanded respect, his eyes glowing faintly with an inner light. He studied Sarah intently, tilting his head as though trying to understand her. Through translators and gestures, communication began. Zyrax explained that his people had fled a galactic conflict, seeking refuge wherever they could find it. They hadn't anticipated encountering Earth's protectors, nor did they fully comprehend the nature of the rift. To them, it was a mystery, one they feared might lead to their destruction. Sarah listened carefully, her empathy bridging the gap between species. She shared humanity's perspective, emphasizing the importance of unity during times of crisis. Slowly but surely, a fragile alliance began to form. Both sides agreed to collaborate, pooling resources to repair the dimensional tear before it caused irreversible damage. Working alongside Zyrax and his crew, Sarah discovered more about the rift's origins. It served as a nexus point, linking multiple dimensions and timelines. While it offered opportunities for exploration and advancement, it also attracted dangers unimaginable. Closing it permanently wasn't feasible. It would sever vital connections, but stabilizing it required precise calibration. As days turned into weeks, Sarah grew closer to Zyrax. Though vastly different in appearance and culture, they found common ground in their shared desire to protect their respective peoples. Through him, she learned about the richness of alien civilizations, their art, philosophy, and struggles. In turn, she shared stories of Earth's beauty, resilience, and potential. Despite progress, challenges persisted. Mistrust lingered among both humans and aliens, fueled by centuries of isolation and fear of the unknown. Some factions argued against cooperation, viewing the other side as a threat. Riots broke out near military bases, and politicians debated whether to escalate hostilities. Sarah refused to let setbacks derail her mission. Drawing on her powers, she organized global broadcasts aimed at fostering understanding. Using footage captured aboard the Star Destroyer, she showcased the aliens' plight, appealing to humanity's compassion. She emphasized that survival depended not on division, but on collaboration. Her efforts bore fruit. Grassroots movements sprang up worldwide, advocating for peaceful coexistence. Scientists and engineers joined forces with alien counterparts, exchanging knowledge and technology. Slowly, hope replaced fear, paving the way for a brighter future. Yet personal sacrifices weighed heavily on Sarah. Each moment spent away from home reminded her of the life she'd left behind. Nights were hardest when exhaustion gave way to loneliness. But even then she reminded herself of why she fought, for Earth, for humanity, and for the chance to prove that brokenness could transform into strength. By the time repairs neared completion, Sarah had earned not only Zyrax's respect but also the admiration of countless others. She had become a symbol of courage, proving that even the most ordinary individuals could rise to meet extraordinary challenges. Standing aboard the Star Destroyer as the final adjustments were made, Sarah gazed at the rift one last time. Its edges shimmered softly, no longer threatening but serene. Beyond it lay infinite possibilities, worlds waiting to be explored, mysteries begging to be unraveled. "You've done well," Zyrax said, his voice deep and resonant. "So have you," Sarah replied, smiling despite the bittersweet emotion swirling within her. As the rift sealed shut, the alien fleet prepared to depart. Before leaving, Zyrax extended an invitation. Should Earth ever need allies, his people would answer the call. It was a promise forged in mutual respect, a testament to what could be achieved when differences were set aside. Back on Earth, Sarah watched as the ships disappeared into the stars. The weight of her journey settled over her, bringing both relief and resolve. The battle for Earth's survival may have ended, but her role as its guardian had only begun. And so, beneath a sky once again whole, Sarah vowed to continue fighting for peace, for unity, and for the boundless potential of humanity's brightest future. The departure of the alien fleet marked the beginning of a new chapter, not just for Sarah but for all of humanity. The rift in the sky had been sealed, and Earth was safe once again. Yet the events of the past weeks left an indelible mark on the world. Governments scrambled to process what had happened, scientists raced to understand the implications of interdimensional travel, and ordinary people grappled with the realization that they were not alone in the universe. For many, it was overwhelming. For others, it sparked hope and curiosity. Sarah returned to Ridgewood, her small hometown now thrust into global headlines. News outlets hailed her as a hero, the woman who bridged worlds and forged peace between humans and aliens. Interviews poured in, invitations to speak at conferences flooded her inbox, and strangers approached her on the street, thanking her for saving the planet. At first, Sarah found it difficult to adjust. She wasn't used to being in the spotlight, let alone celebrated as a savior. But she quickly realized that this attention came with an opportunity to inspire change. She began sharing her story, not just as a tale of cosmic battles and awakened powers, but as a testament to resilience and self-discovery. Sarah spoke openly about her struggles, her abusive marriage, her mother-in-law's cruelty, and the years she spent believing she was unworthy. She told audiences how those hardships shaped her, teaching her strength when she thought she had none. And then she revealed how stepping into her destiny transformed her life, proving that even the most broken individuals could rise to greatness. Her words resonated deeply, especially among women and marginalized communities. People saw themselves in her journey, a reminder that no matter how dark things seemed, there was always a chance to rebuild and reclaim one's power. Social media buzzed with hashtags like Rise Like Sarah and Guardian of Hope, inspiring countless others to confront their own challenges head-on. Behind the scenes, however, Sarah faced her own battles. Returning to a quiet life proved harder than expected. Memories of interstellar landscapes and celestial battles haunted her dreams, pulling her back to moments she couldn't fully explain. There were nights when she woke up trembling, unsure if the visions were remnants of her awakening or glimpses of something yet to come. Agent Marcus Kane remained by her side during these times, offering guidance and support. He helped her establish a council, tasked with monitoring celestial activity and preparing for future encounters. Composed of scientists, spiritual leaders, and individuals touched by similar awakenings, the council became a beacon of unity and progress. Together, they worked to ensure humanity would never be caught unprepared again. One such individual was Dr. Elena Carter, whose research played a pivotal role in uncovering Sarah's lineage. Now working closely with Sarah, Dr. Carter delved deeper into ancient texts and artifacts, piecing together fragments of humanity's forgotten history. They discovered that guardians like Sarah had existed throughout time, each playing a crucial role in protecting Earth during moments of existential threat. Some had fought wars, others had healed wounds, and a few had guided civilizations toward enlightenment. "What you've done is extraordinary," Dr. Carter said one evening as they pored over dusty manuscripts. "But your work isn't over. Awakening powers like yours often comes with lifelong responsibilities." Sarah nodded, knowing deep down that her journey was far from complete. While the immediate crisis had passed, the universe remained vast and mysterious. The rift may have closed, but other dimensions still existed, and so did the forces within them. As months turned into years, Sarah embraced her role as Earth's guardian. She traveled the world, mentoring others who exhibited signs of latent abilities. These individuals, known as Awakened Ones, formed a network dedicated to safeguarding humanity's place in the cosmos. From remote villages in Africa to bustling cities in Asia, Sarah connected with people from all walks of life, helping them unlock their potential while reminding them of their shared responsibility. Her efforts extended beyond training. Recognizing the importance of collaboration, she advocated for international space programs aimed at exploring the stars responsibly. She pushed for environmental conservation, arguing that protecting Earth's ecosystems was essential to maintaining balance across dimensions, and she championed technological advancements designed to benefit humanity without compromising ethical standards. Yet, amidst her accomplishments, Sarah never lost sight of her roots. She visited Ridgewood often, finding solace in its familiar streets and friendly faces. Mrs. Henderson, her elderly neighbor, became a close confidant, listening patiently as Sarah recounted her adventures. Tommy, the teenager who once whispered about scared aliens, grew up to pursue astrophysics, inspired by the very event that changed his life. On clear nights, Sarah would sit on her porch, gazing at the stars. The sky no longer felt intimidating. It felt alive, filled with possibilities. She thought about Zyrax and his people, wondering where their journey had taken them. Had they found a new home? Were they thriving? Occasionally, she sent messages encoded with symbols, hoping they'd reach the Star Destroyers. Though she never received a reply, she took comfort in knowing they existed somewhere out there, carrying forward the bond they'd forged. Years later, as Sarah stood beneath a starlit sky, She reflected on how much had changed since that fateful night. The universe remained vast and enigmatic, but she no longer feared it. Instead, she welcomed its wonders, knowing she played a vital part in shaping Earth's destiny. Her legacy endured long after she stepped away from public life. Books were written about her heroics, films brought her story to screens worldwide, and monuments were erected in her honor. Children grew up dreaming of becoming guardians like her, aspiring to protect their planet and explore the unknown. But perhaps her greatest achievement lay in the subtle shifts she inspired within humanity itself. Nations that once waged war against each other collaborated on projects aimed at advancing science and culture. Communities divided by prejudice came together, united by a shared vision of coexistence. Even the smallest acts of kindness, helping a neighbor, planting trees, reaching out to someone in need, were seen as contributions to a larger purpose. For Sarah, this was the true victory. It wasn't about defeating enemies or wielding unimaginable power. It was about fostering connection. Between humans, between species, and between worlds. And as she looked up at the stars, feeling the ancient pull that had guided her since the beginning, she smiled. Whatever trials lay ahead, she faced them with unwavering resolve. Because she knew deep down that she wasn't alone. Earth had its guardian, and the universe had its protector. Sarah Bennett had risen from ashes, shattered chains, and claimed her place among the stars. Her story wasn't just hers anymore. It belonged to everyone brave enough to believe in the impossible. And so, beneath a sky alive with light, Sarah vowed to continue fighting for peace, for unity, and for the boundless potential of humanity's brightest future.